Standing into his windup. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed a perfect game.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky. He's done it. Thank you, Kershaw. This is a no-hitter. It is gone. It is a walk-off home run for Justin Turner. Tony sends one in the air. The other way. Back it goes. One of a kind player. One of a kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club. Hits the ball to right field. She is gone. Gibby, meet Freddie. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Roki Sasaki met the media yesterday. We've got the 10 things we learned from Roki. Also, the Tanner Scott deal is official, and we'll get you leading up all the way to his press conference, which is today at Dodger Stadium at 12 o'clock. Another jam-packed show of Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got it, Warrior Parade. We got it, Parade. The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series. Ohtani starts the 50-50 club. Monkey magic. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Now, if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you really want to support the channel, hit the like button. I also want on all of your comments down below. What were your takeaways from Roki Sasaki's press conference? Did anything surprise you? How do you think he looked in that Dodger blue? Also, what move do you think the Dodgers should make to free up a roster spot that they're going to need with some of these players they're still hoping to sign? The Tanner Scott deal is official. He got his press conference today at Dodger Stadium. So lots to get into, so let's get right into it with the leadoff.
Leading off, the hottest story in Dodger baseball.
So the hottest story in Dodger baseball, of course, is that Roki Sasaki, the Japanese phenom pitcher, recently ranked as the #1 prospect in all of baseball by Baseball America. He signed with the Dodgers for just over $6 million. And yesterday he had his press conference at Dodger Stadium. I was in attendance, talked to a lot of people, and I'm going to tell you what we learned from Roki Sasaki. The first thing, though, I want to say, though, is now that I've seen Roki Sasaki in a Dodgers uniform, now that I've seen him at Dodger Stadium, putting on that wedding gown white Dodgers uniform with number 11 that Miguel Rojas so graciously gave him, and I see Andrew Friedman there and Stan Kasten and Brandon Gomes and Dave Roberts and the Dodgers brass behind him, now that we've just seen this at Dodger Stadium, it just makes me think, look, I don't think there was a fix. I don't think that the Dodgers had communication with Roki Sasaki or Roki Sasaki's agent, or that there was any tampering or anything like that went on. But what I do think is that it was always going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. During their meeting, Andrew Friedman could have showed up and said nothing, and I think he would have still ultimately signed that contract with the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, of course, they went above and beyond. You had essentially every single player involved in recruiting Roki Sasaki, from Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts being in attendance at Dodgers minority owner Peter Guber's mansion in Bel Air, where he had a private sushi chef, and Mookie Betts giving a 10-minute speech on how great it is to live in Los Angeles and all the great things about living in this city. We need to hear that speech one day, though. That'd be pretty classic stuff. To every single Dodgers player recording a video, letting them know what this organization has done for them, what it's like to play for this team, what they mean, not just for you as a player, but for your family. All of those things, when you factor in at the end of the day, the Dodgers give him the best chance to have long-term success. When you look at the resources, when you look at the stability of the organization, which was something that Roki said multiple times was important to him, who would have made more sense than the Dodgers? The only way he would not have signed with the Dodgers, as far as what they can do for his career to make him the best pitcher that he can be, would have been if he was just defiant and wanted to do his own thing and wanted to not be in the quote-unquote shadow of Shohei Ohtani or Yoshinobu Yamamoto. But let me say this. As great as Shohei Ohtani is, as great as Yoshinobu Yamamoto is, Roki Sasaki is the present and the future of this Dodgers rotation. That's how talented he is. Last year at Yoshinobu Yamamoto's press conference, as good as he is, as filthy as he is, you guys know Yamamania is where I'm at. I love the guy. I didn't hear Andrew Friedman say that they thought that he could be the best pitcher on the planet. I didn't hear Yamamoto say that he wanted to be the first Japanese player to win the Cy Young. The ceiling for Roki Sasaki is best pitcher in the sport. And after being in attendance at yesterday's press conference, my biggest takeaway was made too much sense. Is a match made in heaven. But first big takeaway from what we learned. First big takeaway from what we learned at Roki Sasaki's press conference is the Dodgers have had him on their radar for a long, long time. Roki Sasaki is someone that they have scouted since he was a teenager. Dodgers international scout and player personnel and everything that was involved with Roki Sasaki, they knew it then and they know it now, and they had put in this work so many years ago that yesterday was just a culmination of that. Yesterday was just dotting the I's and crossing the T's and enjoying something that they had not spent months but years trying to do. Now, Roki Sasaki was a senior at Ofunatu High School in the Iwate Prefecture of Japan, same one as Shohei Ohtani, in March of 2019 when Galen Carr saw him pitch for the first time. Now, Galen Carr, he was in attendance yesterday, and he, of course, is someone that has had his hand in a lot of Dodgers that have joined this organization. He's the vice president of Dodgers player personnel, and when he first saw Roki Sasaki, he knew he was special when he was 19. Carr, he said, one of the most electrifying and promising talents in the game. And he said, we thought he might have been available 2 years ago. We thought he might be available last year, but they've tried to stay flexible. So they've known for a long time that he was going to be a phenom. Carr said he was a hypermobile athlete, just folds up so easily. He has long limbs and the ball comes out easy. He was touching 100 miles per hour. He's an athlete. And as a kid with poise and presence on the mound, from a raw stuff standpoint, it was as good as you'll see from someone that age. And after Galen Carr saw Roki Sasaki for the first time, pitching in high school at the age of 19, what's the first thing he did? He emails Andrew Friedman talking about the physicality, the dominance, and how good he looked. And this was even before that. I mean, they had eyes on him when he was 17 years old, and Carr emailed Andrew Friedman, quote, "This is it." That's what he said. So clearly they knew when he was 17. When he was 17, they knew he was going to be special. So look, yeah, the Dodgers have been on their international scouting game, and during this entire process, the way they've had eyes on the Pacific Rim players, and this is just the next guy. Now, second big takeaway is Roki wanted stability. Roki wanted to go to a house that everything was in line. The beds were made, the kitchen was clean, the light bill was paid for, the mortgage payments were paid on time. He wanted as much stability as he could possibly have. And he made that very, very clear throughout this process. Roki said, I think the number one thing that stood out was the stability of the front office. If I'm a Padres fan, I'm saying shots fired, because the Padres, there is literally litigation with their ownership that's happening within a family. That is the last thing you're going to have with a Dodgers organization that's owned by multiple billionaires, the Guggenheim Group. So stability for sure is there. And I think that was evidenced in, look at the deal he ultimately signed. He signed a minor league contract with a signing bonus of $6.5 million. And you look at the kind of money that he's getting, that is literally, imagine if you're going to the pitcher's store, right? If you're going to the pitcher's store and you go inside the pitcher's store, you're looking for an elite starting pitcher, and you walk over and you see potentially Paul Skeens or a Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Randy Johnson, one of these guys potentially when they were young, and instead of $300 million, you can get him, but it's 99% off. That's how much it cost the Dodgers. They got a pitcher that was elite for 99% off, and it's a cost that is going to allow them to surround him with even more talent than they already have. Now, fourth big takeaway was it wasn't a priority for him to play with a Japanese player. At least that's what he told us. And I think it was clear to me that it was more of being within an organization that's going to embrace having a Japanese player, not one that already has them, or just joining forces with a Shohei or a Yamamoto. Is, hey, how do you have an infrastructure in place that allows for Japanese players to have success? And here was Roki when he was asked that question.
今回の交渉では、日本人が在籍しているかどうかは、決断する上で、重要視はしていませんでした。ただ、大谷選手も、山本選手も素晴らしい選手ですし、それ以外にも素晴らしい選手がたくさんいるので、その人たちと一緒にプレーできるかもしれないという、すごく楽しみな部分もありますけど、まずはそのステージに立てるように頑張りたいなという思いです。
It wasn't a priority for me if there was or was not a Japanese player on a team, as I was looking at all the teams, and being able to play with Otani and Yamamoto, both exceptional players. Really looking forward to playing with them, and not just them, but the rest of the team, which is incredibly talented as well. So I hope and I'm going to work towards making sure that I can stand side by side with them.
So he showed some respect. He wants to stand side by side with them, but he wants to be in an organization that has experience. And going all the way back to Hideo Nomo and Kuroda and all the Japanese talent that is pitched in this organization, this is nothing new with this franchise. This franchise, they are trailblazers in doing this. Now, another thing that really, really was fascinating to me was that he gave teams a homework assignment. He essentially told teams out there that I want you to show me how you can improve me on the mound, how you can help me get my velocity back to where it was. Because last season, the velocity was down a couple ticks. You saw some outings where he was throwing 97 and 98, and you weren't seeing the 102s like we had been accustomed to seeing with Roki Sasaki. And that's something that really stood out. During his initial meetings with teams, Sasaki, he said, hey, how can you improve that fastball velocity? And a lot of the responses from teams was, well, wait a second. I mean, that's a lot of information that we don't know that we wanted to give out, right? I mean, do you really want to give Roki Sasaki all the details and all your secrets, right? Do you want to show him how the sausage is made when he doesn't work for the restaurant, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze if you're one of these teams? And Brandon Gomes, he talked about that. He said, there's some cases where you're not sure where we're at and is it worth giving up. In this case, there's the ability to actually sign him, so we'll risk it. Sure, we got into much more than we could have because obviously it's a condensed time frame, and a big part of our assessment is getting hands on him, which you don't have the ability to do. But there are cases where you might be more vague, but the chance to impress and potentially have him choose us, it was worth putting that out there. So I'm curious to know what other teams were telling Roki Sasaki and how similar those strategies were to what the Dodgers ultimately were going to do. So that's interesting. So maybe Roki Sasaki picked up a couple teams from other organizations that he might tell the Dodgers, he might tell people around him. So that to me is very fascinating. And Friedman said, for us, the homework assignment, we felt like that was right in our wheelhouse. Our ability to showcase our performance science group, our performance staff, our pitching staff, and how connected those groups are. We felt it really highlighted a strength of ours. So yeah, I love that from Andrew Friedman saying, hey, you want to see how we do business? You want to see how we take pitchers and make them elite, how we take guys that are maybe B pitchers and make them A pitchers, or A pitchers and make them A+ pitchers, or C pitchers and make them like that is what this Dodgers team is focused on. There are specific divisions within the Dodgers that are reviewing tape and looking at ways on a biomechanical level how to increase performance, and they're doing it every single day. So yeah, I mean, that's perfect. If you're Andrew Friedman, you're like, yeah, we'll show you, and it should be an advantage. It certainly was. And he said, hey, I just felt like the homework assignment was just a great opportunity for him to see how these teams think. So on Roki's standpoint, he just wanted to see how each organization went about their business, and that homework assignment, the Dodgers clearly got an A+ in. Now, sixth biggest takeaway is the one that I was most intrigued to learn about and most focused on, and that was how quickly is he going to be on the big league roster? Is he going to be in the starting rotation to start the season? Is he going to be ready to go in March, in April, in May? And they are going to hit the ground running, as Andrew Friedman said, when it comes to Roki Sasaki. Both Brandon Gomes and Andrew Friedman said that he's going to be in the big league rotation right out of the gates, and that right now there isn't necessarily a hard and fast innings limit on him. But what they did say is they can't wait to partner with him and see how he does bounce back in between starts and how he does respond to going up against big league hitters. And he was also forthright in that, yeah, Roki did, and like I told you on this show a couple weeks ago, Roki did make it clear that he wanted to pitch in a six-man rotation, and that certainly was a part of the conversations, and he got what he wanted. He's in an organization that is perfect for a six-man rotation. They are built to do that with Yamamoto, Ohtani getting his two-way player status after he plays 25 innings. You'll see him get that back around May. So it was really a perfect scenario for him. And really the goal, I think, is to just be in a better position than they were last season, where you're going into the postseason with three starting pitchers. You can't have that happen with the depth that they have. They're going to be in a better spot to do that. Now, next biggest takeaway is, this is really fascinating to me because this is from the Japanese portion of the press conference, and Dylan Hernandez of the LA Times, he reported that Sasaki, when he was a rookie with the Chiba Lotte Marines in Japan, he was recommended Tommy John surgery, and that the biggest reason why he came to the show now was because it was an opportunity to pitch before he had suffered any injuries, and just the future of a pitcher, you just never know. There's no absolutes with starting pitchers. And it said that he never had the operation, but it did shape his thinking, and he didn't want to risk suffering any type of career-altering injury before pitching in Major League Baseball. He said, you hear many voices that say I should have waited 2 more years to come to the United States, but there are, of course, no guarantees about my condition in those 2 years. So that's one thing we've said on the show, too, that Joel Wolf told us in Dallas, that you just never know. With the shelf life of a pitcher, everyone wants to throw out people like myself, and I've said it many times that, yeah, the value would be there in a couple years if, with a capital I and a capital F, he stays healthy and continues to trend in the right direction with his development and realize his potential as a dominant ace at this level. But you never know. So I like that from Roki Sasaki. He's not one of those guys who's just unrealistic. I think that there's a very high sense of awareness for what a pitcher that throws at the velocity he does is going to encounter throughout his career. Eighth biggest takeaway, his camp knows about the narrative that he chose the Dodgers years ago. And they're very careful in the way that they discuss that. His agent, Joel Wolf, told us that it's always been an issue with them that, quote, I've tried to be an open book and be as transparent as possible with all the teams in the league. I answer every phone call. I answer every question. This goes back to before the process even started. Every team, I think, would tell you that I told each one of them where they stood throughout the entire process, why they get a meeting, they don't get a meeting, why other teams got a meeting. I try to do my best to do that. He was only going to be able to pick one. And he would also say that the Padres and the Toronto Blue Jays, they left everything out there on the field. Joel Wolf said that there were presentations that were so elaborate that he said that they probably took hundreds of thousands of hours combined with all teams. So teams went all out. Imagine if you were working for one of these organizations, you're putting together all this data, all these visual presentations just for the small chance you're going to get Roki Sasaki. So you got to give them credit. At the end of the day, it is a situation where the Dodgers, they have the best of all worlds. Now, ninth biggest takeaway is his goal is to be the first Japanese pitcher to win a Cy Young. And you have been to a lot of these, if you watch a lot of these press conferences, if you've seen a lot of these press conferences, a lot of stuff is just kind of cliche answers. You don't want to give out too much and this and that. But for someone that has never pitched in the show to say that, I thought this was a little overlooked. I thought this was very significant because when you are the Cy Young, you are the best pitcher in your league. And for him to come right out of the gates and say that I want to be the first Japanese pitcher, it shows a lot of pride in his country. It shows pride in where he's from. And let's not forget, this is a Dodgers organization that has said multiple times they want to paint Japan in Dodger blue. And for him to say that tells you everything you need to know about this guy's growth mindset. Is he's not here to get good enough to collect a nice $100, $200, $300 million deal to just say that he pitched in the show. He's coming here to be the best at what he does in the game. That is who the Dodgers got for less than $10 million. It's tough to even wrap your head around it. Now, 10th biggest takeaway, I love this one, is he's wearing 11. He's wearing 11. And of course, that number 11 was gifted to him from Miguel Rojas. Here was Roki Sasaki talking about the process of getting 11 and if he is going to give anything to Miguel Rojas like Shohei Ohtani gave Joe Kelly the Porsche.
そうですね。まず実績のあるロハス選手に番号を譲っていただいて本当に感謝しています。ただ何をあげるかは僕の中ではまだ決めきれてないので、チームに入ってからいろいろ相談して決めたいなと思ってます。
I'm really grateful that a veteran like Miguel Rojas has let me wear number 11, and I haven't decided yet on what I'm going to give, but I'm going to start thinking about that.
So yeah, we'll see what he does. Hopefully he's not pressured to get him a big-time sports car or anything. I will say I did look up. I mean, you can get some used. I saw a 2003 Porsche Boxster on Craigslist for $8,000. I was going to send him the link so he can get him a Porsche too. That'll be within his price range. I think he should strongly consider doing that. And then the last big takeaway I had is there is a real fun side to Roki Sasaki. See him off the camera, see him interact with the people around him. He's not kind of this robotic guy that we thought he might have been, just in the fact that he had not spoken to the media for a couple years in Japan, that he had been relatively quiet. There's just not a lot to know about this guy. But this guy's got a big smile. This guy is jovial. He is someone that communicates with the people around him like you would expect kind of a fun-loving guy to do. And I think that the Dodgers fans are going to get to know a side of Roki Sasaki throughout the years where, yes, he's going to have the mystique of being an ace pitcher, but also this guy's young, man. He's 23 years old. And I love what he said after about him looking forward to a hamburger, an American hamburger, as far as the first food he's looking forward to trying.
まだハンバーガー系を一回も食べてないので、そこをちょっと美味しいところを聞いてチャレンジしてみたいなと思います。
I haven't tried any of the American hamburgers, so I'm really looking forward to eating the best.
He's looking forward to eating the best. So that's the next little subtopic here. Where you send in Roki Sasaki? I mean, of course, he's going to have to try In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger, double, chopped chilies, animal style, goes hard. But where are you sending him? I mean, you could go to Father's Office is great. I mean, Del Taco has great burgers, let's be honest. But I think I'm sending him to Father's Office, man. If you've ever been to Father's Office, those are one of the best burgers in LA. But fast food wise, I mean, he's got to try In-N-Out. I mean, I think that he'll really enjoy In-N-Out. But best burger in LA for the win is pretty solid too. Kind of like a better version of a McDonald's burger. But the Apple Pan, I think, isn't as good as it used to be. Of course, on Olympic, kind of near Westwood. But Father's Office is a great burger. But let me know down below in the comment section, where are you sending? Oh, you know what? We're in South Pass. A great burger spot in South Pass is Pie and Burger. Pie and Burger in Pasadena by Lake Avenue. Those are some great burgers. But how about you, Antonio? Any recs? Any burger spots?
Yo, what up? I mean, I love In-N-Out, but if I had to choose, I like LA Goldburger and Los Feliz by the movie theater. I love that place. It's like a good little smash burger. You can't go wrong. Extra pickles, please.
That sounds real. How about you, Noel?
I mean, In-N-Out for sure is the classic. It's never, ever, ever let me down. But if we're talking Pasadena as well, there's a spot called Super Burger. It's only open a couple days a week, and it's only open from like 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. But I mean, for the price, trust me, if you guys have been in Pasadena, I would say they don't clean the grill, and that's what makes it good. If you know, you know.
Yo, totally, for sure, for sure. By the way, yeah, no, that place is really good. I've been there a couple times. The place in Los Feliz Goldburger. They got that nice little crust on the patties. It's pretty tough to do. But let's see what we got down below in the comment section. We've got Alex Renteria. He looked awesome in that Dodger blue. Yeah, who doesn't, right? I mean, it's tough to look bad in Dodger blue, but he looked excellent. And I think another thing that really stood out to me was Andrew Friedman and just how happy he was. I mean, this guy has absolutely, completely aced the assignment in back-to-back seasons. The Dodgers have spent more money for a reigning champion than any team in the history of the sport. Just think about that commitment to winning. I know it's going to sound biased. I'm literally wearing a Dodgers polo, and I work for Dodgers Nation. Show me one organization in all of professional sports that's ran better than the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'll wait. And I'll be waiting for a long, long time because I don't think there's going to be an answer there. But here was Andrew Friedman talking about what makes Roki Sasaki special as a pitcher.
He is an electrifying talent. 23 years old, and as good as he is right now, there is so much more room for improvement. The fastball and split are double plus major league out pitches right now. And even more than just the talent, the curiosity, the desire to be great was really attractive to us. A lot of guys are young and talented and think they have it all figured out. Roki is as committed as I've seen of being the best in the world. That's his goal. We had a sense from afar that he was driven and competitive. What we didn't know was how curious he was and just how strong that burning desire is to be the best in the world. And it became very clear to us going through these two meetings, and that jives really well with our pitching group, and we're going to partner with him and do the best we can.
That's the goal right there, is partnership, stability. That to me is what changes his approach. Is he's looking for someone to, hey, get me to where I want to get to, right? I'll work for you, you work for me. And that's, I think, what is working with the Dodgers and Japanese players and why they've had so much success. I mean, you signed Ohtani Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki in a span of 14 months. I mean, this is all-time legendary stuff. Andrew Friedman is just killing the game on levels that we haven't seen. He's breathing a different type of oxygen right now. But here was Andrew Friedman talking about the plan and kind of the expectations for Roki Sasaki as he starts his first major league season.
Yeah, I mean, we're still kind of getting into that right now. He's flying back to Japan tonight, and with the late nature of this, it's kind of a hurried process to work on the visas and get him back over. And so we'll talk to him when he's in Japan, and he has a rough sense of, kind of how things go in the beginning of spring training. He's been throwing. He feels really good. And so for us, we're going to know so much more a week after being around him than we know today. And so we're not going to pretend to have all the answers right now. We're going to make sure that we are communicating and really talking through things in spring training, into the beginning of the season, and through this first season to make sure that he is in the best position to succeed.
So there you have it right there. Is if there was anyone that was saying, oh, maybe they'll keep him back in Arizona to give him more time and this and that, that is not going to be the case. He is certainly 100% going to start the season with this team, and that's the number one priority. So we got some burger recs. We got Josh, Tommy's chili burger. Tommy's, if you're in the mood for it, if you're ready for the chili, definitely good. Definitely good. Prone to thrill. He needs some fatty pastrami from the hat. What I think he needs is a torta. I was going to recommend my favorite torta spot, but In-N-Out is the California burger. Nando 390. Nando says Los Feliz, Tony Tater's hipster status. Bruh. He's a big hit. Antonio, here's a fun fact. He can't name one musical artist in the last 20 years that he likes. He thinks they're all bad. They're all bad. Come on.
Come on, dude. I love that new Jello song. How did that go?
Give it to us, D-Mac. How does that song go?
How does that song go, D-Mac?
I might swerve in that corner. Woo.
Wait, give us a Dodgers version of that line, Doug.
Man, I might swerve, hit a homer. Whoa. Sonoma's Tom, a Bill's Hot Spot in Van. I got to try that. I want to try Bill's Hot Spot in Van. Just great advertisement for these places as well. Ivy's Easy Street Burgers. Saw the window in Silver Lake. Roki, future Hall of Famer from the West Side. Carnivorous Lunar Activity. Much respect to Roki and what he's been through. BC, he's never pitched more than 130 innings, same as Glass now. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something that they are going to have to navigate. And I have heard from people that have covered this team abroad, the Chibalote Marines, where Roki Sasaki played, and they tell me that, hey, a lot of that had to do, and I explained it on the very last show, was you want to save your bullets for the show, right? Especially when you've been dealing with some shoulder fatigue and an oblique injury and things like that. So it's not that big of a surprise, especially when you're going every 6th day. You're in a 6-man rotation in Japan, less games. So just normally they are going to throw less innings. But Jose Aguirre, there's a very simple solution to what the haters crying seems to be forgetting. Just beat us. You're mad. You're salty. Okay, well, then beat us. Okay, so that makes me want to switch gears a little bit because we got a chance to listen to Stan Kasten. Stan Kasten, of course, he's someone that has a lot of behind the scenes pull. I mean, I don't think he gets enough of the credit that he deserves for his time with the Dodgers. I mean, he's the president. He's a part owner of the Dodgers. He was with the Braves. He was with the Hawks as well for a good amount of time. But he's a visionary. He's a visionary, and I think that he concisely kind of puts into perspective just how this team has really transcended the sport. And also, I think when you look at where they're at, yeah, I mean, they are the team to beat. They are the best run organization, but in baseball, it's not the same as football. It's not the same as basketball. I mean, it's tough to build dynasties in the sport. I mean, you got the Chiefs. Chiefs are trying to be the first team to three-peat. You got the Dodgers. They're the first team to even repeat since 2000. It's a long time. 25 years. We haven't seen a repeat champion in Major League Baseball. What Stan Kasten said was, look, as good as this Dodgers team is, as good as they are, as much talent as they have on paper. If you look at the odds right now, still the rest of the league has a 3/4 chance to win the World Series over them, right? Sure, the Dodgers have the highest odds to win the World Series, but if a sport had as much talent on their roster in maybe a basketball scenario in the NBA, Katie's Warriors, things like that, their odds of winning the World Series would be well above 50%. That's not the case. That's not the case with the Dodgers for as much talent as they have. So I think let's put that into perspective, that even though the Dodgers have this monster roster and teams and fans are crying about this narrative, oh, the Dodgers spend way too much on players, they're ruining baseball. The truth of the matter is all those teams combined for all those fan bases still have a better shot of winning combined than the Dodgers do. So I think that is something we all need to put into perspective. I mean, they're confident in the group they have, but still, baseball is a grueling, long season, and a lot of things just get weird in this sport. But let me know down below in the comment section what was your biggest takeaway on Roki Sasaki's press conference. And when we get back, we're going to be talking some Tanner Scott. Excuse me. We're going to talk some Tanner Scott because his press conference is 20 minutes away. What up, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here to remind you that if you have not yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Dugout Live podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast. So if you want to listen to the show in audio form, when you're driving to Dodger Stadium, when you're driving from Dodger Stadium, when you're commuting to work, wherever it is, you definitely want to lock into the podcast. We're going to start featuring some podcast exclusives, interviews. So definitely, even if you do watch the show daily on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Dugout Live podcast wherever your podcast. So be sure to do that. It really supports the channel. And as always, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out. Welcome back to Dodgers Dugout Live here on a Thursday episode. Excitement in the air as Tanner Scott is set to meet the media. Got some super chats for Cedar 777 $4.99, starving_ghost $5 super chat. Also want to send you guys a reminder to go to gearup.la. The Dodgers official merch store just dropped this Japanese shirt with the baseball in the middle. This is really cool. I like the minimalist design. Celebrate Roki Sasaki signing with the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. It's a really cool shirt. And you also find other shirts over there too. The We Don't Give an F t-shirt, Kike Hernandez, the new Teoscar Hernandez t-shirt, Freddie Meet Gibby t-shirt. Honestly, really awesome t-shirts over there. Get merched up. Go to gearup.la today. And also stick around later because we'll be going live for the Big Lead podcast, the new show that I'm hosting that covers all the hottest stories in sports in less than an hour. We're going to be talking some baseball today. We're talking about the free agencies of Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman, LeBron and AD, not happy with the organization, Jimmy Butler, football. Look, I mean, if you guys are sports fans, this is the podcast to subscribe to. Go to The Big Lead 1 on YouTube. Even if you're not a big fan of all sports, come hang with me. Do your boy a favor and subscribe to the newest venture, The Big Lead podcast. And I'm going to put the info down below in the description. But it really would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe to the new channel. We do some Dodgers stuff over there too. Been talking to Gavin Lux and some players, Ryan Pepio, that aren't Dodgers anymore, that are looking to come on the show. We got D-Mac. I loved your reaction to my pinches tacos comment. Hashtag give me a bruh. We got 21 Eric _LA. Ari's in Montebello Westside. We'll have to try that one. Peter B. Tam's Burgers and Pastrami's is great. I heard Tam's is really good. I see people throw that one. I got to try that one day. Jose Aguirre. There's a very simple solution that the haters crying seem to be forgetting. Just beat us. I think we saw that one. We got Blue. Love the socks and the black poodle. This will be the most awesome rotation of all time in baseball history. Give me a let's go Dodgers for that one. My grandfather took me in 1967 to Dodger Stadium with 4 of my 5 brothers. Let's go Dodgers. And always an awesome show, D-Mac. Thank you, Blue. Really appreciate that. So let's talk some Tanner Scott because the Dodgers, they just announced a few minutes before the show that the Tanner Scott deal was official. The Dodgers, they tweet out on X. The Los Angeles Dodgers have agreed to terms with left-handed pitcher Tanner Scott on a 4-year deal for $72 million. So you're looking at that 40-man roster. It's pretty much at capacity at this point with 40 guys on that roster. Now, they are in agreement on it, so the corresponding move doesn't have to be made until it's official. They got some DFA candidates that we talked about, the Michael Groves of the world, but I think the most important thing is they're going to figure this thing out because it's not just a move for Tanner Scott. Also, Clayton Kershaw, he's going to be back at some point. Kike Hernandez, you have to believe that he'll find a spot on this roster, and you have to wait until pitchers and catchers report on February 10th to make those 60-day IL moves with Emmett Sheehan and Gavin Stone and Brusdar Graterol. And you're going to see those moves take place. River Ryan. There's a lot of moves that can be made to free up some spots for these guys on the 40-man roster. But really the most important thing is that the physical has been passed and the announcement on Kirby Yates should come soon as well. So this one's officially official. Now it's a matter of the Kirby Yates move. And I'm curious to see how involved the Padres were with Tanner Scott. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the Dodgers had the inside track on him for a good amount of time now, just because, I mean, who's out there dropping $72 million on a reliever these days? I mean, the sport is waiting for guys to take discounts, and it's not happening, right? It's not what we've seen in the past. And just a little bit on Tanner Scott. I mean, you're getting an all-star. What you're getting in Tanner Scott is an all-star that can close games, that's a power lefty. He can throw 98, 99 if he needs to. He can throw that power slider that goes above 90. Had a 175 ERA. That was 6th among all qualified relievers. Had 84 punchies to 36 walks and 72 innings of work combined with the Marlins and the Padres, but also saved 22 games last season. He had 18 saves with the Marlins, and he had 4 saves with the Padres. He has 54 saves over the last 3 years. So I think one thing that the Dodgers have shown us is the Dodgers, they do not want to go to an exclusive closer. That's not something that they have really done since Craig Kimbrell was here. And before that, Kenley Jansen. And you look at this Dodgers team last year, of course, you did have a good amount of injuries, but who led the Dodgers in saves last year? You can probably guess this. It was Evan Phillips with 18. Behind him, though, Daniel Hudson with 10. Behind him, the guy with the third most saves for the Dodgers was someone they picked up at the deadline. Michael Kopech was 6. Alex Vesia had 5. Anthony Bonda had 2. Landon Ack had 1. Ryan Yarbrough had 1. Blake Trina had 1. Justin Robleski had 1. Brent Honeywell Jr. had 1. So did Johan Ramirez, JP Fireeisen, Edgardo Henriquez, and one of the most random Dodgers in the last couple of years, Dinelson Lamet. But the truth is, someone like a Tanner Scott can put you in a position to where if you want to move some of these other high-leverage bullpen pieces, the Kirby Yateses, the Evan Phillipses, the Michael Kopechs, who's going to start the season on the IL. He's going to miss the first month at least. He'll be back at some point, hopefully in May. You have multiple guys you can trust for the high-leverage innings. Let's not forget, closers are big time, but it's more important to have guys you can match up with in the 7th, in the 8th. The game can be lost in the 6th, just like it can be lost in the 9th inning. So I think that potentially you'll see him get those lion's share worth of saves. I just don't want to see the Dodgers being kind of getting put in a situation where they're going back to the defined closer. I just don't think that you need that for this team. I think it's kind of an archaic way to go out and close games. And look, you're getting a top shelf guy. I mean, he's the 3rd highest paid reliever in history, going behind Edwin Diaz and Josh Hader. So it's exciting stuff, man. I mean, it's crazy how like the Dodgers' 8th best move or their fifth best move, sixth best move would be most teams' kind of dream offseason signing. Most people sign Tanner Scott, and that is the crown jewel of their free agency class for the Dodgers. He's behind a lot of guys just because of how aggressive they've been. But I think with him, it's the fact that he dominates against lefties. He's someone that can strike out guys at a high clip. In 2023, he struck out guys at a 33.9% rate. You want to see him get back to that. Last season was at a 28.6% clip. So he's great. I think the only con really you can point to is the walk rate being high. But as I pointed out on the show multiple times, that first pitch strike rate is above average. And you talk to pitching coaches, they'll tell you that's a key indicator of a guy that can have better command. But we did a full breakdown of Tanner Scott on the Monday show. So if you're going to get back and watch that one, definitely go and do that. But this Dodgers pen, they're going to be the nastiest bullpen in baseball. I'm here to say that right now. Michael Kopech, Evan Phillips, Alex Vesia, Anthony Bonda, Blake Trinan, Kirby Yates, Brusdar Graterol will be back at some point. I hope that Dustin May finds himself in the bullpen as a multi-inning reliever. Ryan Brazier, we'll see if they try to trade him. Maybe he's a guy that they use to free up a roster spot. That's certainly a direction that they could go. But one thing that I can tell you right now is it'll be very difficult to go back-to-back for the Dodgers if they expect their bullpen to account for 60.8% of the postseason innings. And that was how much they accounted for last season. So I don't think you're going to recreate that magic once again. So you need more production, and you need your starters to stay healthy, and then your bullpen is going to be that much better. But a couple more comments, and then you guys will be ready. 10 minutes from Tanner Scott's opening press conference. So we'll end it with a little seventh inning stretch.
The seventh inning stretch.
We've got a $4.99 super chat from some kind of wonderful taqueria frontera in Cypress Park. It is the best taco in LA. It's close to the ravine, and more people need to know about it. P.S. They have bomb tortas. That's what I'm talking about. Give that a home run. $4.99 from Keith Evans. Hi-Ho Burger on Wilshire. Yeah, Hi-Ho is definitely really good. It is a top-of-the-list burger, but any burger after celebrating the new addition to the team wins. Andrew Claus getting me chubby. I love that. More people asking me about, the roster spot. Yeah, I mean, Kirby is still past that physical. They still have time to make some moves here. But Alex Renter at DMAC, bummed that you didn't get to ask Roki a question. What would you ask him? I would probably ask him. Well, I mean, actually, that the jersey question I actually fed to the guy, but I would say I'd probably ask him probably about him being the best pitcher in the world and what exactly needs to happen early on in his career to be the best pitcher in the world, and what are fair expectations for himself in year one, because I think that is something that is going to be the top thing for Roki Sasaki in year one is people like myself saying that he's the Dodgers version of Paul Skeens. And Paul Skeens was a phenomenon last season. He was appointment television. If Roki Sasaki's first start, he has double-digit strikeouts and gives up 2 hits, it's going to be Roki mania early on. So I think for him, it is kind of managing these expectations in year one, because I think people are going to see the velocity when it's 102 and expect him to be that guy, when there are other parts of his game that you want to see him refine, right? You want to see him add some shapes to that slider, find that third pitch. So it's going to be a learning process, but having said that, the fastball and splitter could just be so damn good that, hey, he could be a top 10 pitcher in year one. I mean, let's not forget Clayton Kershaw. I saw people in the comments saying that, D-Mac, you're crazy. What do you mean that his ceiling is higher than Clayton Kershaw's? I'm just talking about his pure raw stuff and how it grades out. But I think where Roki can learn from Kersh is Clayton Kershaw was a really good pitcher that had great starts towards the beginning of his career. But what made him an elite 3-time Cy Young Award winning MVP level pitcher that went out there and had a first ballot Hall of Fame career was finding that slider. So I think that's where you can learn from Kirsch is, hey, what do you got to do to find that third pitch, and how early on in your career can you find it? But we got the Chilltown All-Star. Scott will be worth his contract. He looks solid on the mound, velocity and command on point. But, guys, a couple more. We got the classic move for Miggy to give up 11 when he has a tattoo of it. Yeah, but you know what? 72 is going to be significant for him as well. And we're going to talk to Miggy hopefully at some point very soon about that. He'll do anything for the team, and he just loves being a Dodger for sure. I like this, though. I'll end it on this one. David Raw, Miggy Rowe getting Honda Civic with number 2. I love it. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to my newest endeavor, The Big Lead. Search The Big Lead 1 on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Really would mean a lot. We'll be live later. Any baseball news breaks, we can talk about on that show as well. But, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.